The psychology of people who feel misunderstood even when they're liked. Everyone likes me. So why do I feel so alone? You're in a group conversation. People are laughing. They respond to you. They include you. On the surface, everything looks fine. Maybe even good. People like you. But internally, there's a strange, quiet feeling. They don't really get me. You can be surrounded by people and still feel slightly out of sync. Like you're being seen but not understood. And that leads to confusing thoughts. Why do I feel disconnected when nothing is wrong? Why do people like me but I still feel unseen? Is something wrong with me or with them? Here's the perspective most people miss. Feeling misunderstood is not always about rejection. Sometimes, it's about depth, perception, and how your mind processes connection. In this video, we're going to unpack why you can feel misunderstood even when people like you. What's happening psychologically beneath that feeling? The difference between being liked and being truly known. And how to build deeper, more aligned connections without losing yourself. Because this feeling, it's more common and more understandable than you think. Being liked is not the same as being understood. Let's start with a simple but powerful distinction. Being liked is not equal to being understood. People can enjoy your personality, appreciate your presence, respect you, without actually understanding how you think, how deeply you feel, what matters most to you. Liking happens at the surface. Understanding happens at depth. And if you're someone who naturally lives at a deeper level, emotionally, intellectually, or perceptually, surface-level connection can start to feel incomplete. Not wrong. Just not enough. Why this happens? Let's go deeper. Because this isn't random. There are specific psychological patterns that often show up in people who feel this way. 1. High internal complexity. Some people have a very rich inner world. You might think in layers. Notice subtle emotional shifts. Reflect deeply on experiences. Hold multiple perspectives at once. Your internal experience isn't simple. It's nuanced, detailed, multidimensional. The challenge? Most everyday conversations operate at a much lower level of complexity. So even when you're talking, connecting, engaging, only a fraction of your inner world is being expressed. It's like having a high-definition movie playing in your mind and only sharing a few still images with others. Of course they don't fully get you. They're not seeing the whole picture. 2. Selective self-expression. Here's something subtle but important. Many people who feel misunderstood are actually filtering themselves more than they realize. You might simplify your thoughts to be more relatable. Hold back deeper opinions. Avoid saying things that feel too much. Adjust your personality depending on the group. Not because you're fake, but because you're socially intelligent. You know how to adapt. But over time, adaptation can create a gap. People are connecting with the version of you that is easiest to understand, not the full version of you. And that gap feels like being unseen. 3. High sensitivity to misalignment. If you're emotionally or socially perceptive, you likely pick up on subtle mismatches. Small things like someone slightly misunderstanding your point, a response that misses the emotional nuance, a conversation that stays too surface level. Most people don't notice these micro moments. You do. And over time, they accumulate. Not as big, dramatic disconnections, but as small, repeated signals of we're not quite on the same wavelength. 4. The depth gap. Here's a pattern that shows up often. You may crave depth, meaning, emotional honesty, intellectual exploration. But many environments, social, professional, even personal, prioritize light conversation, efficiency, politeness, predictability. There's nothing wrong with that. But it creates a mismatch. You're looking for depth. The environment is offering surface. So even positive interactions can feel incomplete. 5. The invisible effort problem. Another hidden factor. You may be putting significant effort into understanding others. Listening carefully. Reading between the lines. Adjusting your responses. But that level of effort is often not reciprocated at the same intensity. So the relationship becomes slightly one-sided in depth. You understand them deeply. They understand you, generally. That imbalance creates a quiet emotional gap. When feeling misunderstood becomes a pattern. Let's pause here. Because there's an important distinction. Feeling misunderstood occasionally is normal. But when it becomes a consistent pattern, it can lead to emotional loneliness, subtle frustration, withdrawal, overthinking social interactions, or a sense of, no one really knows me. And over time, you might start to wonder, is deep connection even possible for me? The answer is yes. But it requires a shift. Moving from liked to understood. Let's talk about what actually helps. Because the solution is not to become less deep. It's to build better bridges between your inner world and other people. Share one layer deeper. Instead of jumping from surface to full depth, try going one layer deeper than usual. For example, instead of, "It was a good day," try, "It was a good day, but I noticed I felt a bit disconnected in the afternoon." Small additions. More signal. You don't need to reveal everything. Just slightly increase the resolution. Let people miss you, then clarify. When someone misunderstands you slightly, don't immediately withdraw. Gently clarify. For example, "Not exactly, it's more like." This does two things. 1. It gives people a chance to understand you better. 2. It teaches them how to relate to you more accurately. Understanding is often built through correction, not perfection. Find depth-compatible people. Not everyone communicates at the same level of depth. And that's okay. But you don't need everyone to understand you deeply. You need some people who naturally meet you there. Look for people who ask thoughtful questions, tolerate complexity, enjoy reflection. Don't rush conversations. With the right people, depth feels effortless, not forced. Reduce over-adaptation. Ask yourself, am I making myself easier to understand or smaller to fit in? There's a difference. You can be clear without being reduced. Practice expressing your real thoughts in a way that's accessible but still authentic. Not diluted. Just translated. Accept partial understanding. This one is surprisingly freeing. No one will understand you completely. Not friends. Not partners. Not anyone. And that's not failure. It's reality. Connection is built through overlapping understanding, not total understanding. When you stop expecting 100%, the 60 to 70% that is there starts to feel more meaningful. A quick note. Feeling chronically misunderstood can sometimes be amplified by social anxiety, past experiences of not being heard, high sensitivity, HSP traits, neurodivergence, e.g., ADHD, autism spectrum, or attachment patterns. If the feeling is intense, persistent, or isolating, working with a therapist can provide deeper clarity and support. Not too much. If you've ever felt like you think too deeply, you feel too much, you're hard to understand, or you don't quite fit, let's reframe that. Your depth is not a flaw. It's a different processing style. The goal is not to flatten yourself or simplify yourself to the point where you disappear. The goal is to express your depth in a way that can be received, and to find people who are capable of receiving it. Try these reframes. I'm not hard to understand, I just have layers. Not everyone needs to get all of me. I can be both complex and connected. From invisible to understood. Let's bring this together. If you feel misunderstood even when people like you, it may be because your inner world is complex. You filter your self-expression. You notice subtle misalignments. You crave more depth than your environment provides. This is not a social failure. It's a mismatch between depth and expression. And that can be worked with. You don't need to become someone simpler to be understood. You just need better expression, better boundaries, and better alignment with the right people. Until then, remember, you are not invisible. You are not too much. You are just deeper than most surface-level conversations allow. And the right people, they won't just like you. They'll understand you.